Welcome back to the channel. Listen, David Schwartz wants everyone to know. He's making it very clear that Ripple uses XRP more than anything else. That's number one. And that's interesting if you understand what's coming in the future. That's one. Number two, he wants everyone to know XRP is the core of everything. Now, that's an interesting statement he continues to ram home, considering all of the all of the excitement over stablecoins. Wait a minute. Everyone's talking about stablecoins. Ripple's talking about RLUSD, but XRP is the most important, the most used thing that they have. This is coming from David Schwartz. But XRP is what they use the most. You see what he's saying without having to actually say it? Once again, extrapolate that to once you have thousands of banks utilizing not only XRP, but what it props up. It props up RLUSD. And it won't be the only one. Now, I'm not talking about just with RLUSD. Any of these stablecoins are going to need liquidity tokens to back them up. You can't have treasuries backing them up. Treasuries do nothing. They do nothing. They did nothing then. They're going to do nothing now. So what's the difference maker? These liquidity tokens. As simple as that. I think that's one of the reasons, David, you have to understand, XRP is David Schwartz's baby. So he needs people to know the truth about his masterpiece. But let's scroll down here and find out what he's talking about, what he's saying. It says the Ripple CTO David Schwartz recently affirmed that Ripple continues to prioritize XRP, insisting that more XRPL use will lead to greater utility and value for XRP. It continues, it says, in the most recent conversation, an XRP proponent asked Schwartz whether XRP still holds importance for Ripple. That's a wild question, in my opinion. That's a wild question. Over and over and over again, they continue to tell people like every month or two how important XRP is. And yet, I don't know. I think they've made it pretty clear. If you look at what the function XRP is supposed to serve, Ripple literally is nothing without XRP. The XRPL is nothing without XRP. You can't get around XRP. This is why those who have done a ton of research understand why that price can go much higher. Not higher, much higher. It's that important. This is not a game. This is not a joke. But let's keep going. So they asked this again. It says, pointing out that Ripple now highlights its new stablecoin. Yes, but you have to understand what's behind it. They already let people know this does not negate XRP. It complements XRP. XRP is what backs up RLUSD, period. I don't care if they don't say it. It's logical. You cannot deal with all of these big companies and not have something that could fill that gap if there's ever bank runs or depegging. The ECB came out and the BIS came out within the last 2 months talking about the instability of stablecoins and how they're a risk. They're not sound money, etc. All these different nomenclatures and verbiages that they used. All right, if that's so, then what gives them the confidence to utilize these things? Well, if you're talking RLUSD, XRP gives them that confidence. Ripple gives them that confidence, having a boatload of XRP to fill that gap and to negate depegging. You can't say that treasuries give them that confidence because treasuries didn't stop the mass depegging of all stable coins before. Let's keep going. So they're going to highlight, that's the newest product they have. Every time something's hot and new, someone highlights it. It doesn't mean it's the best, doesn't mean it replaces something else. It doesn't. This happens across all industries. So it continues, says RLUSD more often, but barely mentions XRP anymore. Once you say something powerfully, once it's there, it's positioned to serve its purpose. How many times do you have to say it? If I say the house is on fire and I tell you one time, do I have to continue to tell you that? Or are you going to get up and move out of that house? Once you speak something powerfully and it's the truth, you don't have to continuously be saying it. It's the same way with all the money or, they want to do particular things with banks. They don't have to say it a million times. They want to get in heavy with RWA. Once you say it, I need you to get to work. I don't need you to continuously be telling me that. Get to work and show me results. Make sense? Right? Do I want you to continuously be running your mouth and wasting my time? Because a lot of times those who are talking, pay attention to this. Those companies that do a lot of talking all the time, they don't have a lot of activity going on. Just watch that trend. I watched it myself. But those who come out and speak powerfully like Ripple, you see them coming with result after result after result after result. But now let's let David Schwartz clear this up once again. And let's keep going. It says, more often but barely mentions XRP anymore. Is literally their lifeblood. But let's keep going. Responding, Schwartz said, XRP still plays a major role. It can't not do that. Interbank payments. That's what XRP. You want speed? XRP. You want to break up payments but still have it considered as one? That's XRP. Only XRP can be used with some of the advanced mechanisms on the XRPL that Ripple claims that they're deploying right now. You want speed and cross-border payments? XRP. You want the lowest of the cost when it comes to transaction fees? XRP. It literally is the best of the best. Treasuries, you want something where companies are building treasuries around it? XRP. Then you got Solana right over there. Bitcoin, XRP, Solana right over there. XRP is there. That's what I'm saying. Let's keep going. It says, responding, Schwartz said XRP still plays a major role in Ripple payments, especially as a bridge between currencies. You don't think this is going to be important? Europe is letting you know right now they're going to limit RLUSD use. They look at it as an opponent. Their interest is the digital euro or any euro stable coins. China's not going to allow RLUSD to proliferate in China. Right, so then you have RLUSD. Someone sends a payment from here over there. What's the bridge currency going to be? XRP. Dollars to euro. What's the bridge currency going to be? XRP. Where do you get the liquidity from? XRP. You send some RLUSD from United States over to Japan. It has to be converted over into that currency. What's the bridge currency? XRP. XRP literally is the lifeblood. Then on top of that, people want to earn yield. Companies, I mean. SBI is looking at their helping their clients earn more yield on XRP. Everyone's going to do that. Everyone's going to want to earn yield off of the XRP or Solana, etc. These companies are going to max it out. But let's keep going. It says, especially as a bridge between currencies and cross-border transactions of all kinds. Of all kinds, which is interesting. I was going to cover this article here has got me so fired up, but I was going to cover B2B. B2B is trillions of dollars. So then you need bridge currency, a bridge currency to move trillions of dollars. How does that affect XRP's price in the future? You tell me. I'm just saying, you tell me. And once again, we're not even taking into account interbank payments yet. That didn't even begin. Let's keep going. So, David Schwartz says, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure XRP's use as a bridge in Ripple payments dwarfs every other asset. I think stablecoins win for collateral use cases. Volatile collateral is annoying. In edge use cases, volatility at the on and off ramps, then it makes you have to go into X, which I can't do right now, to see the rest of the tweet. I wish they would just screenshot the entire tweet, article writers, please, and just put it up here. Wait, they let me look at the article. They let me look at the tweet or X post without logging in. That's interesting. Okay, I don't remember in the past it doing that, but I'm glad it does that now. That shows you how long I haven't really been on X. But anyway, he continues. He says, for almost everything else, folks, let me read that again. People are not grasping how deep that what he's saying is. I think stablecoins win for collateral use cases. Volatile collateral is annoying, which also is interesting because in the future, as companies are taking over, how much volatility do you believe is going to actually be there? XRP was, according to Ripple, was designed for companies. Yes, retail has some. That's just a byproduct of the nature of the beast. But it was designed for companies, for banks. So if it serves its purpose and mostly companies and banks are utilizing it, there's not going to be a lot of volatility because they're using it in closed ecosystems. It's constantly just circulating, or some of them are holding it. Yes, some of them will hold it. They already said that. But it doesn't need to be held. It's just in constant flow. So the price explodes because it becomes rare. It's not accessible to the public as much as it once was. We know how that works. And it's just in constant use. So then there won't be a lot of volatility in the future, maybe a minimum of it. But it will fulfill its purpose. He continues on. For almost everything else, I still think digital assets work better. Translation, he believes XRP, the digital asset he's talking about is XRP. XRP works better. For almost everything else, XRP works better. But he has to be careful how he says this. Why? He has to be careful how he says this because he doesn't want to make people too bullish. He doesn't want to sound like he's trying to sell you on XRP. He's just telling the truth. And the people continue to force him to say this over and over again. He says, unless you're risk averse, you'd probably prefer to hold most top tier digital assets over cash. I also think that more use of XRPL for real financial use cases will translate to more utility and value for XRP. So now he pointed you to the future. So he says this, and if you put all of the other Ripple statements, even the ones where Brad Garlinghouse was coming out and saying they're working with a bunch of central banks of which they did not name. He said some they didn't even name them. I'm not so eloquent today, but at least we're getting to the crux of the information here, okay? Then you look at all the different partnerships that they have or that they could make. And we're in an age where partnerships and acquirements are exploding. So if that is the case, then there's going to be a ton more utility for XRP. So he's saying as long as you can observe the increase in partnerships and increase in companies utilizing XRP, which some of them will utilize the XRPL outside of what Ripple does. You see what's going on with the European Central Bank and the company they're working with that uses the XRPL and XRP, right? So that already establishes the truth that many companies will build on the XRPL, utilize, what do they call that? Outsourced, the outsourced schematics or whatever to come up with their own systems that use the XRPL and XRP themselves. That's going to have a massive effect as well. But he's saying if you watch that, then you're going to understand the rise in value. That's what we've been doing. Or the potentiality for the rise in value. That's what we've been doing here. It says XRP has a privileged place on the XRP ledger. Of course, XRP cannot be replaced. It's too important. There's too much value attached to it. It has massive amounts of utility. And that's what a lot of individuals don't want people to know. They want it all to themselves. They want the glory to themselves. I'm telling you. They want to be able to say when that price really explodes, look what I did. And everyone else didn't do it. Look how long I held and other people didn't. They want to say all of that. This is a game. They want all the trophies. So manipulation is going to be heavy. It says here, so XRP has a privileged place on the XRP ledger and is not as likely to get worked around. What does he mean by that? To get worked around as, say, ETH has been. He just told people there's no going around XRP. Now, watch in a month or two, we're going to get the same question again. Folks, he just told people there's no going around XRP. Is this not the same as a few weeks back when he said everything that, not a few weeks, a few months back, when he said everything that touches the XRPL will have an impact on XRP's price? He's telling people in different ways over and over and over the same thing. There is no going around XRP. XRP is inevitable. And now you have Ripple is tight with the U.S. government. Folks, there's a lot of smoke screens they're going to put up. as they start to work with these assets. They want to turn heads away from them. They want to be the ones to use it, whether it's the government, whether it's companies, and companies and the government are pretty much one and the same. So they're going to pretend like they're not using it, pretend like they're against it. Oh, 40 banks. 40 banks. 40 banks are requesting more information from Ripple and the companies that want to become banks. That's a cute smokescreen. There's thousands of banks that don't oppose these systems, desire them, and have come out and spoken about it. But they want to turn heads with 40 banks. That's not stopping anything. There are smoke screens. Oh, stablecoins. That's just because that's the hottest thing out right now, the newest thing out right now. And once again, it's a smoke screen because, well, the ECB and the BIS are not letting it be a smoke screen, but people aren't listening to that. It's unbelievable. Where does the stability come from? So you put tons of value and you risk tons of value in the stability of your financial systems, in utilization of stable coins of which you say yourself are not stable. What allows you to do that? You must ask these questions. It's not treasuries. It's not anything provided by the government. It didn't work before, and you're not going to be saved. You can't say, well, they'll be saved by the FDIC or whatever the equivalent is around the globe. You know, everyone has their equivalents. It's not that. They ran out of money with just 6 banks that had bank runs and collapsed. 6 banks that had bank runs and collapsed made the FDIC run out of money. That's a fact. So how would they handle hundreds, if not thousands, if that ever occurs? All right. So what I'm saying is you can't look at them as something to be relied upon. So then what gives them this confidence? What is it that they're going to lean on? They have something. Where do they get this liquidity from? This value from? Where? My apologies. I get some dry skin from time to time. It happens. It happens. It's the liquidity of the bank coins. The native tokens that they've wanted all along. All right. So now we go here. I may save this article because now we're getting a little deep into the video. I didn't intend for that article to take up that much time, but I had so many thoughts that I couldn't even convey eloquently, but forgive me for that. We'll come back another day. You know how this goes. Some days are choppy. Some days are going to flow smooth. That's just life. Some people don't want to accept that, you know. But there's nothing we can do about how other people perceive us, right? I mean, we do our best. You could do your absolute best and people could still perceive you as being lesser than, right? Can't worry about that. We must march forward no matter what. We must move forward no matter what. And that's how I think. Each day is an opportunity. If I wake up that day, you get what I'm saying? If I wake up that day, it's an opportunity to be better. And sometimes being better comes with struggles. We may not think clearly that day, especially days where I have a lot on my mind. Today is one of those days for sure. Sometimes it can take away from my smoothness of thought or delivery or my charisma. Okay, this is an opportunity. This is a challenge. Let me try anyway. That's what we're here doing. We're trying anyway, despite any barricade. And the next day we hope to do better. We're going to wake up tomorrow and try even harder and try to do better the next day. And each day we get better and better. We climb the mountain of life. I don't know what's at the top. I just know we're going to keep climbing. I have a desire to be better than I was yesterday. You don't have to agree with that. It's not advice. All right. But here we go. A little bit of Bitcoin news. My apologies for coughing. Bitcoin TikTok fractal predicts $150,000 BTC price top in October. Bitcoin begins a 77-day historical countdown to its potential 2025 peak with targets around $150,000 and higher. Bitcoin was just showing red at $116,563. That red means absolutely nothing to someone like myself. I know Bitcoin is going to explode. I know where it's going. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. But from what I've seen, Bitcoin is going to have a massive explosion at some point. No, it's not going to continuously go up forever. No, but that's up to individuals to figure out how high they think they want to, play with Bitcoin until, and then move on from it. That's up to them. And some people may be permanent. That may be the case. To each his own. One must know the path they intend to walk, and then walk it strongly. You cannot walk your path weakly. Something's going to take you off that path. In life, there's all types of winds and tornadoes and, wild waters, metaphorically speaking, spiritually speaking. If you walk your path weakly, something's going to shake you, take you off your path. You must walk it strong. Period. You have to have confidence in yourself. Stand strong no matter what. Believe in yourself. Even if you get knocked down, get back up. You make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Don't listen to the world. The world is going to get on you hardcore. Oh, you make mistakes. You're doing this, and they're going to doubt you. Walk strong. Listen, I can't tell you, but I'm saying I know this from experience. And you're going to see victory after victory after victory. Because you remain strong, because you believed in yourself, because you saw that there was even victory in the fall, because you were able to learn and gain from that. And as you learned and gained from that, you became better than before, because before you didn't know this information. You didn't have this experience. Now you do. Now you're better. You're stronger. So you got to walk it strong. It says Bitcoin may be entering the final leg of its current bull market cycle. I disagree with that, but I could be wrong. The catalysts haven't gone away. Why would this be the end? Everyone wants this end so badly. All these article writers. I just respectfully disagree. Humanity loves. They love patterns. This one I've seen this a lot. They love patterns. They don't want to let go of the pattern. They're traditionalists. I'm not. I recognize patterns, but I don't necessarily want to follow them. I'm on a different flow. Sometimes it goes 2 beats. Sometimes it goes 3. Sometimes it goes slow. Sometimes it goes quickly. Whichever way, I'm go with the flow. Like Wu Wei, I go with the flow. Most of humanity is not like that. They say, well, this happened then, so it must happen again. And it's like the security blanket. They don't want to let go. So sometimes that can become blinders on one's eyes to the catalyst changing, the environment changing naturally. Change is the only constant, but a lot of humanity has forgotten that. So they see something like Bitcoin and say, this must have an ending now. This is what happened 4 years ago and 8 years ago. There's this pattern that used to exist. What happens when it changes? Are you able to observe when it changes? Are you able to adapt? Is your mind in a place where it can accept that? Because if not, then the reasoning is going to be flawed. I'm not saying I'm beyond that. I'm just saying at least I'm asking questions. I'm observing. I'm ready to adapt. I'm ready to change. I'm looking at Bitcoin and saying to myself, and at one time I knew when Bitcoin was going to be down. And so I talked about it in a particular way. Okay, yeah, it's going to be red. Yes, this is going to happen. A lot of people are selling things that apply to that time period. In this time period, I must change my verbiage because what I'm seeing is company after company after company just gobbling up the Bitcoin. They're gobbling up the Bitcoin. They're coming up with Bitcoin reserves. States are doing it. Nations are doing it. Companies. And that hasn't slowed down. It's only increased. So why would there be an ending to the bull run? And no, I'm not of the belief where there's altcoins are going to pop off. If the Bitcoin goes down, Bitcoin is up, then altcoins are down or altcoins are going to follow. I'm going to use my eyes and I'm going to observe. I'm going to use my mind in the data coming out at that time to decide what I believe is going to do. I'm not applying any preset. Although I can consider it, it doesn't dictate what I'm going to do. My observations in the moment, on that day, in the week, I'm going to consider as many variables as I possibly can. And then I'm going to make a move based on that. And what it tells me right now is that Bitcoin it hasn't even cracked the door open on the golden age yet. We're seeing flashes of brilliance from Bitcoin. But the true light of Bitcoin, if I could use that verbiage, I don't think it's been seen yet. I'm just being honest with you. And plenty of people are going to disagree with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't control their lives. I don't know their lives. I don't know these people. So I speak for myself is what I'm saying. To each his own. It's perfectly fine to have disagreement. You'll find I'm not an arguer. There's no gain in that. I've been in plenty of combat. There's no gain in that, right? But so that's nothing to me. I believe Bitcoin is going much higher. Bitcoin may peak around $150,000 by October. Can it reach $150,000? Do I believe that? If you remember my original numbers, my original number was $150,000. Remember that? The videos are still up. Remember that? That was my original number. Interesting how things show themselves to be, well, I wouldn't say true, right? But agreed upon, right? Almost nobody was talking about 150K at that time. Now you see this occurring. A recurring TikTok fractal track by analyst Crypto Bullet shows that Bitcoin tends to peak approximately 518 to 546 days after each halving event. The most recent halving occurred on April 15, 2024. Once again, that's a traditionalist stuff. It doesn't say anything about taking into account new catalysts. Companies don't care about a halving event. They don't play by the same rules. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.